Okay, welcome to quiz number 2, talking about lighting and doing sort of an introduction to that. So point number 1 about lighting is the most common type is called 3-point lighting, where you have a main light, a fill light coming from the other side, and then a backlight behind you. And this is actually a variation of the lighting that I'm trying to use right now, right? I've got my main light that is off to my right and sometimes reflects in my glasses like that. So, and that's kind of annoying to me, but that's the brightest light. I've got a little less bright light over to the left over there that's filling in the shadows that would be left from the light over here. And I don't actually have a backlight, but if you pay close attention, there are some times that I take this little reflection here off the whiteboard and try to put that behind me, and that gives me kind of a backlight on my head. But in a true 3-point lighting, we'd have another light that was coming down on the back of the person. Okay, so yeah. And the second question is about the brightest light. The brightest light is behind the camera. And the main point that they're making in the book about this is that you don't want the bright light behind your subject, right? This is how you get that silhouette witness protection program thing that we see sometimes where it's just an outline of a dark face, right? And so be aware of where your light is coming from. If there's more coming from behind the subject than on the subject, you're not going to see the person so much, you're going to see whatever's behind them. And then the next thing is that the bigger the lamp, right, so the more surface area there is that is lit up, the more diffuse the lighting is, then the softer the light. Okay, you're going to have fewer harsh shadows and whatnot. And maybe even I'll pause this and do a little experiment with our lights here. So I have taken off this umbrella here from our fill light, and I turned off our main light. And this is about as hard a light as I can get right now. You can see the shadows are much more, much harsher, much more present, and not the sort of nice soft lighting we had when the light was going through a much larger lamp and making a softer light. This is much smaller, much harder, much harder light. Yep. Okay, and now we're back again to the softer lighting. I put the umbrellas back on the lamps, have both of them going on at the same time. And a little more natural, a little more diffuse, a little softer lighting. Okay. So the second light, okay, that one over there that I just used for the harsh lighting, that one's not quite as bright as the main one that's coming on this side of my face, right? And it is called the fill. And so that's the secondary light, the fill. And then the last one, the light behind me, right? If I did have another one, right, the way I was using that that reflection before, we call that the backlight. So there you go, main, fill, backlight, 3-point lighting, and the bigger the lamp, the more diffuse the lighting, the softer the light, as opposed to the hard light of a smaller lamp. Okay.